In this video, the third from our time in Japan, we take some day trips from the Tokyo-Yokohama area to Mount Fuji and Kamakura. We stayed with family in the coastal town of Yokosuka. After a morning on the Shinkansen, we spent the afternoon catching up, touring the harbor, playing claw machines, and eating. On Sunday morning after breakfast, we loaded up our rental minivan and headed west on the highway and through the mountains towards Mount Fuji. I was worried about renting a car in Japan, and while it was difficult to get used to everything being reversed, I think I turned on the windshield wiper just about every time I tried to hit the turn signal. But it was an easy way to get around. While you can get just about anywhere in Japan on a train, it requires far less planning and far less walking to have a rental car. With a clear day and the cherry blossoms threatening to bloom at any moment, our first stop in Fuji was at the Chureito Pagoda. After a long but beautiful walk up the hill to the pagoda, we were rewarded with some beautiful, quintessential views of Mount Fuji. While the cherry blossoms weren't out quite yet, we had a beautiful, clear, blue sky day to see the mountain. After descending the trail, we drove a few minutes up the road to Lake Kawaguchi. There we caught a scenic boat tour with incredible views of the mountain. After the cruise, we drove over to Lake Yamanakako, one of the other of the Fuji 5 lakes. We enjoyed the views and got a few more pictures from the shore in Lake Yamanakako before turning the minivan east and accidentally following the winding road of the Olympic cycling race back towards Tokyo. We finished the day with a mountain of sushi and called it a night. On Monday, we took the advice of the Moon Guidebook, which rated Kamakura as the best day trip from Tokyo. We started out early and headed straight for the Hokokuji temple to see the Zen gardens and do a green tea tasting. We got there just after the temple opened and nearly had the place to ourselves. It was everything we expected Japan to be. We loved it. The gardens were peaceful and the tea was delicious. After spending the morning at Hokokuji, we drove across town to Kotoku-In to see the giant Buddha. While the history of the statue and the work done to preserve it was fascinating, our favorite part was getting to climb up inside the giant statue. By that point, we were getting hungry, so we headed back to the Dankazura, a beautiful main street with a cherry tree-lined pedestrian walk right down the middle of the main street. We had a few snacks at the Hello Kitty store, and snapped pictures on the beautiful street outside the Hachimangu grounds. Then we had a wonderful lunch of noodles before shopping our way back to the car. Mount Fuji is one of those places that you have to see to believe. It's so iconic that it doesn't seem real. Even as you stand there looking at it, the mountain is just so massive that you can't take your eyes off it. I think as I look back on this whole trip to Japan, the views of Mount Fuji will be one of the first things that come to mind. The temples in Kamakura were very peaceful, and we were able to beat the crowds, so that helped a lot. These two destinations both make great day trips from Tokyo. We got lucky with the way the weather worked out, but since reservations aren't really needed for either, I'd plan a day in each area and go to Fuji on the sunnier day. From Kamakura, we dropped off our rental car because we're hopping a flight next to go skiing in Niseko. But that's a story for our next video.